Good evening or good day to everybody. We don't know where you're at in the world right now, but thank you for tuning in to Teague's Take. This is the remake, the relaunch of Teague's Take, so we're glad that you are here with us. Now we will have different hosts. Obviously, I'm George Teague. I am the host, one of the hosts, but I want to introduce you to a few other hosts that we will have for you tonight. James Teague, my son, yes, my offspring. He is the analytical one of the family. We're looking very forward to all the things that he has to say in this show and beyond. We also have Consuela, my wife, my babe. She is now one of the co-hosts as well. She is the brains of the operation. She's smart. She is the reason that we actually have this show. We're thankful for her because she has the foresight to be able to see what's very, very good for our family and for this podcast. And we also have Jada Teague, another one of my offsprings. She is the logical one. She's a student at UT San Antonio, does a lot of media stuff. So I'm kind of intimidated by all the stuff that she does as well. But we're glad to have her on so that we can hear her opinions and her take as well. We got an action-packed show today. We do have a guest that we're going to introduce a little bit later, Eric Metcalf. Man, he's a star, and we're looking forward to hearing him. But before we get going, it is now time for my runouts. As you know, the NFL announced a 17-game season, and it's quite different for a lot of people, right? And they're trying to understand it, and it does get very complex. So I want to give a few pointers about this. First of all, this was agreed upon by the players, regardless of what you hear or not. The 2020 CBA collective bargaining agreement was voted on by the players, and it was a very close margin, right? It was 1,019 votes to 959 votes by the players in favor of it. So even looking at the deal, they knew that they were going to go to a 17 regular season games. Now, one of the things that I look at with that is, was this something voted on lines because it was so close of old versus young, right? And you really have to dive into it to try to figure out how people's contracts were structured. What are they looking at? Because there's a lot of tricky things in there where there are some older guys who may get extra bonuses at the end of the year, but neither here nor there. You know, some things that we're going to have to look at as well. The playoff structure that they already started, it added $150 million. A lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know that. Into another pot that will be split by the players as well. And that's how some people may get bonuses, some may not. Main thing is there's going to be some people who aren't going to get any money right now. The bulk of the money is going to come between 2023 and 2033 because the estimated revenue from television is going to be about $100 billion, and that's going to be split almost right down the middle with the players. So it's going to increase a lot of salaries. So that's why I think a lot of younger players probably actually voted for this as opposed to the older guys. I want to read one thing, and then I'm going to wrap it up on why I think that we got this wrong, okay? So there's a quote by Roger Goodell. He said, what we are doing is following the data and following the science to make sure that we're doing things both from a health and safety standpoint as well as seeking to be better in every way. Well, first of all, I'm kind of tired of hearing about the data and the science, that kind of stuff, right? I think that's just kind of slogan for some other stuff. What they really have to talk about is more things like what are they going to do with the offseason? There's this, well, let's limit offseason. I don't know if that's absolutely true or if that should actually go that route or not. I know when you play more games, sometimes you have to train a little bit different. I don't know if rest is actually the way to make yourself better because you got to play more games. Maybe we can dive in that a little bit. The odd number game thing kind of throws me off too. Having someone go 13-4 or 3-14 is super weird to me. I just don't like it. So I know we got it wrong there too. One of the things also with this bargaining agreement, the season's still going to start September 7th. Super Bowl is going to fall on February the 13th. Now, that might hit someone, and it hit me immediately, right? Because that's Valentine's Day weekend. That's wrong, man. You can't do that. People are going to fall out, man. You're going to have ladies upset. There's another time where they're going to try to separate families and all this kind of stuff, or everybody's going to have to take their wives to the Super Bowl or something, right? So it's not cool. That's 3 reasons right there. I know I'm joking and I'm making light of it. It's going to happen. But in the end, what I'm going to say is I thought they should go ahead and go to 18 games if we were going to do it. Keep the 20 limit max. Players don't want to play in the preseason anyway. So I want to open this part up. Let's bring JT back in just really quick before we bring in our guests. I'm not too crazy, right? We don't have to go into it too far. What do you think were my talking points so far?
I was with most of it until you said 18 games.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to discuss that. So let's go ahead and bring in our very special guest. Eric Metcalf is here with us tonight. He is a UT Longhorn, man. We're going to have to talk about that in a little bit of Bama. He played football. He ran track there. He holds a long jump record. I think it's still standing there. He's a 5-time All-American in track. He's a return specialist, played running back, played some wide receiver, 13 years in the National Football League, 3 times in the Pro Bowl, 2-time first-team All-Pro, played with several teams, but basically known as the Cleveland Browns. I did get to play against him in 1998 when he was with the Cardinals, and I promise you, he did not juke me one time. I watched all the film, watched all the highlights, and I was like, whew, thank God. So welcome to the show, Eric. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I hopefully you were listening to what I was saying here in the beginning. I just want to kind of get your opinion on this because, there's a lot of different avenues. I know Aaron Rodgers and others were talking about, you got Alvin Kamara and others making statements about whether or not they should have gone to 17 games. What do you think about that? How do you feel about it sitting here like us as being an alumni?
Before I get into that, I'd like to say, if I did juke you, would you actually have told us? Would you have told us on this?
Well,
I don't think you would have told us.
I probably wouldn't have had you on the show if you would have juked me.
Right. Now, I'm like torn between this 17-game schedule. I mean, from my understanding is if you had a contract before the collective bargaining agreement, then you stand to make more money because you have another game.
Yep.
If you didn't, then you don't. I know it's tough on guys, and I know they feel like they're putting themselves in harm's way by playing another game. But at the same time, nobody wants to play preseason games. So if you have the opportunity to make money to play a game, you might as well do it, especially the money that these guys are making. So I'm all for it in that respect. I mean, it's more football. It's all about money. We know that, and the league is making money and profiting off these players, and I think they should take advantage as well.
Well, I think the money is going to get really big, and he kind of hit this thing. And Eric, I don't know how you were, but I know at 4 or if you had 5 preseason games, we were always trying to find a way, especially if you were secured on the team, trying not to play in those extra games. One, because you were going to get hurt, right? Or you just weren't making any money then. I don't know how, at that time, I think I was getting $1,000 a game or something of that nature for preseason. And so you were really trying to get away from those anyway. And I think the more I keep hearing people talk about it, JT, with that is shortening the preseason. I think everybody was in favor of that. And I think the reason why I said go ahead and go to 18, 2 reasons. One, you shorten the preseason a little bit more, fix what offseason looks like, and then you already know we're about to run into a big chunk of money with these new TV deals, right? And so why not set it up for the younger people to go ahead and get closer to what baseball and basketball and all these other contracts are doing?
Well, let me ask this then, because nobody wants to play in the preseason. I would also argue, don't you think week 18, you're probably trying to sit out too, especially if you're in a position to go to the playoffs, which, by the way, has more games, and, you compared it to NBA and MLB, which everybody already says has too many games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sold on taking away preseason games to put them on at the end, because one of the reasons that I really enjoy college football is because all of those games matter. You get 13 games, and you lose one, you're out. You lose, 16 games, you lose 9, you can get in. You lose 10, you might still get in. And now you're adding more teams to the playoff again. You're adding an extra game. So now you can lose reasonably 11 and get in. You can go 6-11 and get in the playoffs.
So I think you got to look at it from a standpoint of, or maybe I should say, I'm looking at it more from the standpoint of the dollars and the cents.
Well, I mean, you got the TV deals were going up before you added more games. You got the extra TV deals on 16 games.
Yeah, but the TV deals are even bigger because of the extra game. There's more ads. There's more something. But it's neither here nor there.
I don't think there should be 18 games.
Mm-hmm.
I like the 17. We do know this, that no one can go 500 now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So Jason Garrett's probably pretty upset.
You have a winning record or a losing record. Simple as that. But I like the 17 games. I like that, once again, that they're getting a chance to put more money in their pocket if they had that contract previous to the CBA. And then, it gives these guys a chance to win more games. I mean, you might lose games, you might not make the playoffs, but 6-11 sounds better than 5-11. And so
does it?
Yeah. No.
I mean, but it does. It really does. And you feel better about it when you're thinking about the off season. It's just winning just looks so much better. The more games you can win, the more it looks better for your franchise.
That's true. And all I'm going to say is the owners, the coaches or whatever, are still going to find ways to get guys rest. If you were winning, like you said, JT, people aren't going to play that last game anyway. They're going to find a way to get guys rest. They have to. 1 bye week. They should have maybe looked at 2 bye weeks. I don't know. But it's all good. I think you guys made up some great points. I do appreciate you guys' feedback. So now I want to turn to you, Metcalf, and really talk about Cleveland Browns. You think they're Super Bowl bound here coming up now? They're loaded. Are you rooting for them to win Super Bowl?
Of course I am. I mean, I don't know if they're Super Bowl bound, but I know they have the potential. I mean, we saw what they did last year when they were finally able to put it together with a coach that could lead them in the right direction, get Baker Mayfield playing in a manner that he needs to be playing, where he doesn't have to be the star. I mean, when you look at the Cleveland Browns, especially offensively, the star is Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. It's all about the running game, and that's how the team wins. If they were running the ball well, which most of the time they were winning games, and that's how they were able to go 11-5 and get into the playoffs. And so I think with all that, most of that team coming back and a couple of these free agent signings, that team is loaded right now. So the sky's the limit. And so now they just have to go do it in between the white lines.
Do you have a free agent signing that you're most excited about?
I think John Johnson, the safety from the Rams, because we didn't have good play back there. Zendejo and those guys, they played well, but Grant Delpit, he never got to play because he was injured. And so now you have somebody who's proven, who was ranked, I think, number 3 in Pro Football Performance throughout last season. And so now you bring him in with all these guys, all these other free agent signings. You got Greedy coming back. You got Grant Delpit coming back. You got, of course, Denzel Ward back there. You signed Anthony Walker, Tyke McKinley, Malik Jackson to go along with Myles Garrett and all these guys. I think it's going to be loaded. Now, like I said, we just got to go do it in between the white lines.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. And you know, we're talking to Mr. Metcalf here. He's also in the Texas Hall of Fame. Congratulations on that as well. And I want to ask you really quick about your, you play running back, play some wide receiver, or, running back out of the slot or however you want to put it. But, man, you start watching these highlights of you returning these kicks back and different things of that nature. Can you kind of tell us about this? How did you learn these moves? Is this just backyard stuff or, training? What was going on back in the day with this?
I think a lot of it is, most of it, all of it is God-given ability on top of genetics. My dad played in the NFL and played for 9 years. And so I just went out there and played. It was not because of drills. I didn't run a lot of ladders and things like that. It was just a matter of going out there and running and being able to react to people trying to tackle me and make people miss. And I'm going to be honest with you. From the day I started playing football, I did not want to get hit.
I know that feeling.
And you can say, oh, he was scared to get hit if you want. I don't care. Yes, I was scared. You say I was scared. And that's what kept me from getting hit, because I didn't want to get tackled. I used to feel like if my jersey was dirty, I had a bad football game, because that means people were tackling me.
Well, so do you think there's too much – is there overemphasis nowadays with training, all the – specialized training that guys are going? It seems like everybody, whether you're wide receiver, running back, linebacker, defensive back, they're all doing extra work. Is that overhyped now, or is it really useful?
See, for me, being a track athlete in college as well, and then after football, I coached track in college. And so for me, when I look at these athletes, these football players now, and the way they're training with this specialized training, I sometimes think that the problem is that it's too much. It's too much of what they're doing, because if they're not going out there and playing basketball, playing racquetball, and doing these types of things, their body is never getting used to making these sudden changes of direction. And so they're never ready for that. And so for me, that's what I always did to get in shape. This CrossFit and different sports, just because I knew I had to be ready to be able to change directions quickly and all that. And I think my body was prepared to do that once I stepped on the field, because I wasn't just going out there and training just to play running back or receiver.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk to us about your pops a little bit. You alluded to him, and I know you got the pictures up behind you. How did he influence you with, track and or football? And tell us a little bit about him.
Well, my dad, Terry Metcalf, he played in the league 9 years. He was Pro Bowler 3 times as well. And he didn't really take me out on the field and play catch that much and like say, this is what you have to do. But I think I just wanted to do it because that's what he did, Just thinking about this, my mother and father, they had me when they were in high school. So at a young age, I was able to see my dad play in college games and then his whole career. And so me being who I was, that's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be Terry Metcalf growing up. We always have football players that we want to be like. And so I picked Terry Metcalf because he was in the NFL. He was my dad. And so why not be like your dad? Because, most of the time we grew up, we want to be like our fathers, right? And so my dad played in the NFL, and I saw all the wonderful things he was doing, Pro Bowls and things like that. Like, I want to be like that. And so that's where my influence was. He tried not to tell me how to do things on the field. He wanted me to just go out there and learn for myself and play for myself, because he always felt like guys who push their kids like that were just trying to live it through their sons. And so he just let me do my own thing, and fortunately it worked out.
Man, that's awesome. That's really good. Thank you for sharing that. And it's this is one of the things that we pride ourselves on with our family too, because we got so many different angles. And, when we were talking before the show, JT playing college ball as well, coaching with me as well. Consuelo obviously been around football in our family all of our lives, and then Jada, you'll like this, Metcalf, is because she's actually media. What's her term? Anyway, she's right for UT Longhorns, so she's covering their football and other sports, but mainly their recruiting that's going on out there. So she brings a different angle to the show as well. So why don't you tell us what you're up to now? Are you training any kids, or you chilling, or what's going on?
I try to chill with the best of them, but but what I actually right now I do consulting with Nike Track and Field. Like I said, I was coaching track at the University of Washington, which I'm no longer doing. The only training I really do is like my son and who goes to Arizona State. He plays football at Arizona State, and I train him and his friends when they come back in the summer. So we go out there and work on their speed. And I only do the speed part. I let my cousin who played for the Dolphins, I let him do all the receiver stuff because, you know, I don't want to coach football. I just want to coach speed and everything. So I do that. Like I said, I do consulting with Nike Track and Field, and my cigar line will be hitting soon.
I'd say you got to tell us about that. You already teased us with it a little bit earlier. So when I first found you on Twitter, I think I actually saw you having one. I don't even know if it was your own brand or whatnot. I think I DM'd you and asked you, what that was you were smoking, and you told me. So you launching your own line or company or what's happening here?
I'm launching my own line. It'll be at prohibitioncigars.com. That's who's actually making the cigar. Right now on their site, you can go to, there's a tab, the EM21 is there, and we have the EM21 Lanceros, but we will be coming out with something special in the next 21 days. You get that? 21. 21.
Well, all I need is 21 sticks. So I will make sure I'll send you the address, and you can just send some of those on over here to your boy.
Yeah, because 21 will probably be the amount that's in the box.
All right. Well, hey, you guys, for all y'all listening, thank you for this. And he's doing this is tremendous having you on. Make sure you guys give him a follow as well. His Twitter handle is Eric Metcalf 21, right? At Eric Metcalf 21. You on Instagram or anything else that I might have missed?
No, Twitter's enough for me. Twitter, I can stop right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, okay. Well, we just want to say we appreciate it. JT, you got anything else for him before we let him go? Because I think this has been great, man. I really appreciate your time and allowing our family to come hear from you. Back in the day, I think I'm correct. You were with the Cardinals in 1998. That was my second stint back at the Dallas Cowboys.
Did we beat you guys in the playoffs?
Excuse me?
Did we beat you in the playoffs?
Yes,
Mr. Producer, I can't hear.
Yes, you did. It was 20-7. You had 3 receptions for 48 yards, which is 16 yards a catch.
You trying to act like he didn't hear me.
And we got this one over here though. You see him, Mr. Analytical, like I said, he got the stats over here of what you did. Did he have a touchdown? I think he scored that game, or it could have been another game.
No touch. Well, hold on.
It could have been when we played him. Well, I don't know. I think they might have played Dallas. It could have been in a regular season game because that might have been the one year that we actually played Arizona three times.
We lost both times in the regular season.
Yeah.
Didn't beat you in the playoffs.
See, so he ain't even talking about those.
Yeah,
two.
Well, hey, the only one that matters is the one that's in the playoffs.
There we go.
It doesn't matter. It does matter, but I can still blame that on everybody else too because at first when I first got here in '98, I was not starting at the time either. I think Brock Marion or somebody, one of the other safeties was in there. But that would be a story for another podcast. So, it is good. And, again, he did not shake me, so y'all can go look at the highlights, try to find all the stuff that you want. I did very well of staying off of Metcalf's highlight reel and Barry Sanders'
That's not true.
highlight reel.
That's not true.
As well.
Now I'm going to go find something.
Huh?
I'm going to go find something. I'm coming back.
You're going to have a look at it, right? Well, we do hope to have you back here soon. But, again, thanks again for your time. I would love to be able to do this again in the future if you would be open to it. And I'm going to be definitely following you and following up to find out when I can get those cigars, okay?
I got you. I got you.
Well, thank you.
But again, bro.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
So, JT, Just one more. It's always great to have guests on like that who can be fun, have a good time, know a lot of good facts and all that kind of stuff. And it's really good to hear his point of view about the season, is the new NFL season, because it's going to be. I really am interested to hear the differences between older players and younger players on how they feel about this deal. Regardless of what I say, I'm making light of it. Doesn't affect anything, for our family. But I would be curious to see what a younger player might say versus an older player.
Yeah, I am too. Now that you mentioned it, all the ones that I've been seeing complaining about it have actually been younger players.
Mm-hmm.
I'm losing my. There we go.
Your sound.
So I don't know what the breakdown was. It being that close, I'm surprised that you can get something like that passed with, I guess, a simple majority. We can't. It doesn't work anywhere else. So, good for them, I guess.
Yeah, and it is interesting. And maybe we'll bring it up over the next few shows. Well, you know what? Maybe in a couple of weeks we're going to have a current football player on. And maybe we'll ask and see what he said. But I do know that there are some people that are going to get some pretty hefty bonuses this year, like a cool million and a half extra. So, all right. That's it for this first part of the segment of the show. Always having the guest on. We're going to have more guests on. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But right now, we do need to take a short break, and then we'll come back with Money Matters. But right now, let's bring it over so you can hear about ProfoundSites.com.
ProfoundSites.com for your personal and commercial needs. Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com.
Welcome back to the show. Thank you guys, man. That was a great deal, being able to talk to Eric Metcalf and talk a little bit about the NFL. And now we want to go into Money Matters, where JT has a great topic that all of us are going to weigh in on. So, JT, take it away.
So, Bill Self, who is the coach, the basketball coach at the University of Kansas, has just signed a lifetime contract to coach there at the University of Kansas. And for those who don't know who Bill Self is, he is I don't know how many times he's won Coach of the Year between AP, the Naismith College, Big 12 Coach of the Year between the AP and voting among other coaches. But, this is important, and this happened because Roy Williams, who just retired at UNC, was the coach at Kansas before. And then UNC had an opening, and Kansas lost their coach to UNC, and they basically said, hey, look, we don't want that to happen again, right? So they gave him a lifetime contract, and I actually want to bring up some of the things in his contract. He has a 5-year rolling contract that automatically adds a year at the completion of the previous year until Bill Self himself says stop. His base salary is $225,000, which doesn't seem like a lot until you realize that $2.75 million annually goes to his LLC, which really just goes to him. But at least, if he ever gets sued, he's only on the hook for $225,000 of his annual salary because the other's wrapped up in a company. Now, he gets a 2.4 annual retention bonus. He gets $100,000 a month for the next 7 years due to a bonus that was supposed to be paid, but because of COVID, they didn't have the money to pay him, so now they gotta make that up. He gets a $4 million life insurance policy, 2 courtesy cars, medical benefits, tickets to home games for Kansas football, but who cares about that? But the real mind-boggling thing here is that in September of 2019, Self and the Kansas program were served a notice of allegations by the NCAA for 5 level 1 violations. And those are the serious ones. Those are ones that carry postseason bans, vacation of wins, suspension, show cause penalties, and things like that. And one of those was actually a lack of institutional control, and this goes back to a court filing that a federal agent said that he was discussing logistics of paying players, which we'll get into, that he knew was going to Kansas via Adidas. And what is in his contract is that he cannot be terminated for any ongoing investigation, and if he's suspended, he forfeits 50% of his salary for the duration of the suspension. Mind you, is only $225,000, and he has a $2 million buyout basically if he decides that he wants to go to the NBA. So he gets a lifetime contract that is truly lifetime. There is under no circumstances does Kansas get to fire him, even if he gets suspended and they got to vacate all the wins and all the things. Kansas is on the hook for it.
So let's bring the family in. Let's bring everyone back in on this because how do you guys feel about this? I want to go with Consuela first. What's going on? What do you think about this?
Well, first, I would like to know who his agent was and where was he during the time that you were going through your contracts, would be my first thought. Secondly, I truly do not understand how someone can have a lifetime contract. I can't get a lifetime. If you buy something nowadays, it's not guaranteed warranty for lifetime. I know when you guys first brought it up to me and we were just in conversation, I was like, is that lifetime prison lifetime or is it truly lifetime? So
if anybody else is having that same thought, I mean, it is you can think about it as a self-renewing 5-year subscription.
Hey, that was pretty good. Self-renewing. Oh. See, y'all didn't even catch that one.
Yeah,
I got that.
Was terrible. But yeah, it's just like Netflix. You have a lifetime subscription to it. As long as you keep paying the money, they will happily keep taking it. And Kansas has a lifetime subscription to Bill Self. As long as Bill Self is willing to accept the money, they'll keep giving it to him.
I just feel like they're opening up a can of worms.
Yeah.
Because now there's going to be more people out there that feels that they're entitled to the same structured contract.
Well, we'll see how people feel about that. Jada, you got any input on this one?
I don't know. I just feel like it's not necessary. I feel like you could have started off with maybe 20 years or 30, but to do a lifetime contract, it just kind of reminds me of the Supreme Court. So I don't think it's necessary, and I don't see why they would even need to do that. What's so good about him,
Well, and he's been coaching for how many years now? 30?
Yeah, he's been coaching since 1985. He's been at Kansas for the last 18 years.
Yes.
Well, he's almost been there a lifetime.
Now, he's won a lot of games, and so here's my deal. He's won a lot of games. I don't think he's won enough national championships to be able to be.
Do you know how many national championships he's won?
2?
No.
Or is it 1?
1.
Yeah.
2008.
So he won 1 national championship. He does have a lot of
3 Final Fours.
The titles of the What is it?
Yeah, he
Conference
has
titles.
8 Big 12 tournament championships, and he's got like 15 regular season.
I don't know if that warrants still getting a lifetime contract if you're not winning national championships. So my opinion is, that this is a move. This is a move that must be about winning. Yeah, it's just only about winning.
Yes.
Especially in light of knowing that allegations could come down and he could get suspended for a season, half a season or whatever, and they're still going to have to pay him something and not fire him because he has that clause in there. So I think that says a lot about sports, and this will lead into our next segment about college athletes getting paid and all this. But our world today is becoming more about win at all costs, right? And that's kind of tough to swallow, especially as a high school coach. And we're doing this, and you're trying to teach people things, and you're trying to do better for people. That shouldn't always be about the money and things of that nature. But this is really what it is. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. And I think this is also kind of like right place for Bill Self, right place, right time, because this probably doesn't happen if the two major things surrounding it doesn't happen. If Roy Williams doesn't retire from UNC and Kansas is scared to death that he's going to leave and go to UNC. And remember, Kansas doesn't have an AD right now or a head football coach because of the things that happened at LSU that finally were made public, and they were like, no, both of y'all got to get out of here. So, they are really trying. The one constant that they have in their athletic department has been Bill Self throughout the last 2 decades. The only guy that's been in the building that long, it was him. And I think they're just trying to make sure that when they hire somebody else, they don't have to worry about Bill Self anymore.
Well, before we go to the next piece, I'll let everyone know, you guys and the family know, I've always kind of been a low-key KU basketball fan.
Apologist.
Yeah, maybe. But, living in Wichita and those things, and I was trying to figure out about college and all that, this is a smart school, and they had a good engineering program and all that kind of stuff. And for a minute, I thought, man, I want to go to KU, and go be a student there. But then I thought better of it.
The truth of the matter is you met your wife.
Yeah, and she, yes, that's another one. Thank you. And I'm glad we did get together. But the deal was, even in basketball, they make me so mad now because I always wanted them to be so good in basketball. At least when I'm doing my bracket, trying to get them to the Final Four, especially here of recent, and it just hasn't been going good. So anyway, enough of that. Great topic by JT with Money Matters there. Now we need to go ahead and move on to the final play. Today we want to talk about, should college athletes be paid? Oh, man, I don't know if we've really talked about this around the kitchen table or not, but we need to talk about it right now a little bit. And this always gets heated whenever you talk about it on social media or with different people, because there's people on both sides of it, So I want to get back into I'm going to ask Jada to go first on this one, especially since she's covering a lot of athletes now. She's been covering the Blue-Gray football game. She's done stuff for Sports Illustrated with the Houston Texans, the Texas Longhorns, the Redskins. Who am I missing? Somebody else?
The Washington.
Dang it, the Washington football team. My bad. I keep doing that. So, Jada, what do you think? Football players, anybody in college, do players be getting paid or not?
I'm so happy that you put it to me first, because back in my younger days, I really had a strong opinion. No, they should not be paid. You already get your school paid for. You get your living situation paid for. But, people can change, people can grow. And after hearing, talks with you and Mom and other things I've seen on social media, I definitely think they should. But I think it might not be the same across the board. If you take a team like Alabama, for instance, they may get paid a little bit more, but it's complicated for me because if you have somebody who's the starting quarterback, do they get the same amount than somebody that's, you know, not playing at all? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
So
does.
that's where I have the questions. How do you make it equal? I just feel like there should be some amount of pay because these students don't have enough time to work if they really wanted to. They have to practice. They practice probably twice a day. I'm assuming, I don't know. I wasn't a college athlete, but then you still have to go to class. You have to find time to study. A lot of them have to do things with a tutor and all kinds of things. So even if they really wanted to work, there's no way they could possibly do that. Yes, they get their housing paid for. Yes, they don't have to pay for college. But what about food? What about if they want to, you know, do normal things and just relax and get away from practice? So, you know, these people are still humans. They still have a life outside of football and out of school, just like, you know, the rest of regular students do. So it's just, how do you make it fair across the board?
No, okay. I might be able to answer that. Yeah, I'll come back to me on that one because I want to go to JT first to see what he has to say. I mean, he played at Drake University, you know, high level, guys coming in from all over the place. It's the same type of stuff. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's yes, and I think there are more objective reasons on why college athletes should be paid than some of the other things that people will argue against why they shouldn't be paid. You know, and Jada talked about, you know, the scholarships and whatnot. I mean, you can also get scholarships not playing sports. So as far as like being a job, but I'm just going to throw that out because nobody's going to be convinced by that. But I live pretty close to UNT, and there are many billboards around UNT that are advertising games with players on the billboard. Their face, their jersey, their name, and it'll have sometimes it even has their name. So the fact that playing for an NCAA team means that your name, image, and likeness is owned by somebody else is wrong. They should not be able to put you on a billboard and then to use you as an attraction to get people in the seats and then not compensate you for it, I think is fundamentally wrong. Athlete, non-athlete, that's not how, you know, as much as America prides itself on capitalism, that's not how capitalism is supposed to work. You should be paid for things that you own. And then, you know, you can talk about all of the different, like how much money they bring in and all that kind of stuff. You know, I really think it all boils down to, you know, if you walk into a Texas A&M jersey shop right now and you see number 2 on the jersey and it doesn't have a last name, everybody knows that's Johnny Manziel.
That's right.
I mean, Michael Jordan even won a lawsuit on a video game one time because they had somebody on a basketball game with just a red shirt on that had 23, and Michael Jordan's like, yeah, that's me. Right. And they had to pay him for it. So I don't understand how you can sell jerseys because you know there's going to be an uptick in jerseys if player A is playing well and he wears that number. So I don't know how there's a debate around that aspect of it.
Well, let's hear from Mom's take. What is Consuelo about to say about this?
Well, I definitely think that they should be paid for a number of reasons, and I do understand that, as you said, JT, that there are scholarships involved, and players are being compensated for their education and boarding and food, or housing, food, boarding, however you want to call it. But at the same time, when they're on scholarship like that, they cannot work during the football season. The only time that they can work is during the summer. And that's not because they don't have enough time. That's because it's prohibited. So they cannot get a job during that time. So whereas I may be at school on a academic scholarship, my job is to go to school and keep my grades up so that I can continue to get that scholarship. But I also have the opportunity to go out and get a job to support me along the way.
And if somebody wants to give you $20 to go to McDonald's one day, they
They
can do that.
Absolutely. And just to address Jada when she was asking the question as to how should they be paid, when you're on scholarship as an athlete, there is there's an allowance that you get for, it's called weekend money, because the cafeterias are closed, during that time. So that's your little money.
Your little
that
per diem.
Yeah, your per diem that you can get, so you can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner on Saturday and Sunday or what have you. And however they figure out what that per diem is what I think that they should do for the players. Give them a base pay across the board. It doesn't matter if you are starting or if you're not starting, because at that point, I think you are having the athletes pretty much clash with one another, where it's more separation than there is a team at that time. And when you are saying, well, he's going to get paid more than this athlete, I think you're causing a division amongst the players.
So what I think is, obviously I believe that, and I've said it before, that I think players should be compensated. And I do think that there's a way to do it. And I'm just going to give you one way to do it. It's not like a true salary or something of that nature. But because when you play in the NFL, there is a pool of money that is put together for image and likeness stuff. So outside of our salary, when we played in the NFL, we got a bonus check at the end of the year. So how many ever EA sports games we played, and they counted jerseys and they did whatever, and all went to this big pool, and every player in the National Football League got a check at the end. It was equal. It was $7,000 or whatever it was. Sometimes it was higher depending on how the sales went. It was different, addressing kind of how Jada's was, because they knew quarterback stuff sold the most. So they kind of had this quarterback club kind of money, that they got a bigger chunk of it because most of their stuff was higher most of the time. So they figured out a way to do that. So that was one way. Now, what I want to say for the part is, if we're worried about putting cash in the players' hands, which I'm more worried about that, giving someone $20,000, $5,000, whatever it is. They're going to blow it. They're going to burn it. They're going to go to clubs. They're going to do all the other stuff. Why not do it kind of like what the NFL does as well? And it can be done by teams. If you're on a certain team, they're bringing in more money based upon bowl games and all that stuff. Take a percentage, kind of like what the CBA collective bargaining agreement does, and put a pool of that into a annuity program. And so that instead of giving that person that $5,000 check or $7,000 check, if you play on that team, you lettered, however you want to say it, that at the end of each year, they're going to dump some money into your account that you will be able to get once you no longer play there, in the form of stocks and bonds. One that'll help with illiteracy when it comes to handling money and things of that nature. And you can do that based upon, just like JT hit it on the most, because there are lawsuits now out, and hopefully it goes through, that there might be some back pay, because you're right. And so this is going to be my last point about it, because with the image and likeness stuff, I played in Bama 1989, right? And so I look at it from the sense of someone paid licensing fees to be able to sell my jerseys, whether it's a university. They had to pay money to the University of Alabama so that they could then sell the Alabama jersey with my name, or the helmet with my number, or whatever. So even other people are capitalizing off of my name and image, and I can't get it. So there's paintings. Think of all the paintings all you guys have, and the jerseys, and all the things you guys tweet me about and Instagram me about, and all that kind of stuff, about all the stuff that you have when maybe I cut a deal with a couple of those people, but a lot of the other ones I might not have. Now, it might not be signed or any of that kind of stuff, but they may be getting paid off of that stuff. And that's the part that's not fair. There has to be some kind of way to work that out. That if there's going to be licensing fees at the university, well, I don't know, maybe allow us to work for the licensing fees, pay for those so that we can make some money off our own stuff as well. I could go on the soapbox.
Well, I want to ask one more question on it because, I think sports, I'll use football as an example because that's one of the bigger ones. I think they get hit the hardest with this because for some reason that is inexplicable to me, you can participate in other sports as an Olympian and be sponsored and paid for, and that is okay. Unless you're the one kid from Texas who was from the Philippines or something, and they gave him too much money, and they were like, no, you can't have that. So they ended up having to kick him off the team because his country wanted to pay more than the U.S. was willing to pay their own athletes. But one guy that I thought about in general, because like I said, Olympic athletes can do this where they can sign deals and whatnot for the sports that they play in. But there was a guy from Wyoming, I can't remember what his name was. He was a snowboarder as well as a football player. And he signed a deal to be sponsored for snowboarding, which is not an NCAA sanctioned event, deemed uneligible because he took money for a sport that he participated in that doesn't even fall under NCAA, much like the kicker from UCF who had a YouTube channel and YouTube paid him because he had ad revenue, and they were like, oh, well, they kicked him off the team because he used his own name and likeness on YouTube, got ad money, which was like, I don't know, $100 maybe.
It's not
and
fair.
They said, no, you can't do that because you play football for a university and you used your name and likeness.
And it's not fair, and I'm going to give you my own personal deal, and I don't know if we've actually talked about this with the kids or not. But on January 1, 1993, when we played the Miami Hurricanes, and I had the great game, that was the first time someone decided they needed to make a picture of me stripping the ball from Lamar. Within a week, I was contacted by an artist who said, hey, I'm going to produce about 10,000 of these, and we want you to sign all of them, and I'm going to pay you for every single one of your signatures on there. So I had to call compliance, and I said, hey, I'm not going to turn down this money because it's a big chunk of money. And they said, well, the only way you can accept that check, even as a senior, my last semester, you can't come back to school. You got to withdraw. Well, I withdrew. And, hindsight, you say, well, is that really worth it not finishing, the degree at that time and all that kind of stuff? I don't know, but it goes into your point, of what we're saying. And it's just, it's not cool. Maybe we got to have another discussion on this that we'll do another one because I think we can go around. So I want to say, thank you again first of all, to the family for doing this. I think this has been great. Thank you, Jada, Consuelo, JT. I want to thank Eric Metcalf for everything, for coming on too. Next week, y'all need to come back and hear more. We're going to have some good topics, but what kind of guests who we're going to have on? And JT, you might have to look this person up.
No, I don't have to look him up. I played every Madden, and that was the only reason to play Madden and the only reason to use the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I meant to say Jada, because she might not know who this person is. But Mike Allstott is going to be on our show next week. And I'll go ahead and tell you the precursor. And I am going to tell him, since Eric Metcalf tried to call me out and tell me what I really said, I will tell Mike Allstott next week that when I played against him, and I had to hit him over and over and over again, he'll probably say he hit me, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's my story. I'm telling him that when I had to hit him, I stayed sore for 2 weeks. I went and tried to get massages and ice tubs and ice baths, and I was hurt for literally like aching, hurt, like I've been in the weight room too long with this guy. But he's a, former player with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's known for just
A
destroying.
running back that is not talked about enough.
No, not at all. Is he in the Hall of Fame yet? He's got to be in, right?
He at least needs to be in the Bucs Hall of Fame
Yeah, they should be. I'm sure he's up on
or Ring of Honor.
their Ring of Honor. But, so that's what we're going to finish at. You guys make sure, if you guys like these, like any of our talking points, you can find us on the social media. We're going to have that come up in a little bit when we get ready to close the show. But we're at the end. This has been our time. It's been good. We'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time live. You can find us on any of your podcast channels. Make sure you subscribe, like, leave good comments. Even hit us up on our website, teagstake.com. Leave some comments. But we'd like to say goodbye. Adios.
On camera.
We got to work on his throw. It's over. Subscribe to our feed at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening now. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Teague's Take Podcast. Remember to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the stream. Stay engaged by following us on Instagram and Twitter at Teague's Take, where you can keep up to date with news postings and other live content.